Intruder alert! Red spies in the base!
A red spy is in the base?
In the waning hours of February 17, 2019, a YouTuber under the alias of Matt's What It Is uploaded a video that would send shockwaves across the entire site. By morning, the video would reach the front page of Reddit, accumulating millions of views on YouTube. All of a sudden, waves of outrage inundate every corner of the web. YouTube now faces ferocious controversy over Matt's allegations that the platform is willfully harboring child predators. YouTube reacts swiftly by deactivating the comment sections of thousands of child-oriented channels. Their efforts to subdue the mounting outrage would prove futile, as the controversy was now spiraling out of control. Over the next 5 days, no fewer than 70 articles report on YouTube's child endangerment problem. At around the same time, companies began pulling their ads. McDonald's, Disney, Nestle, AT&T, Epic Games, some of YouTube's biggest corporate partners withdraw their funding. Ad rates falter site-wide. YouTubers scramble for answers. The whole platform is tumbling down a spiral of outraged parents, ravenous reporters, and terrified advertisers, all led by a single red-haired stranger. Then, just as quickly as he appeared, he vanished, never to return. Now, more than a year afterwards, we are only just beginning to pick up the pieces. First, we have to talk about the man behind the mayhem, Matt Watson, a common, ordinary name for a common, ordinary man. You see, the best thing about being ordinary is that it's really easy to blend in with the rest of the crowd. And in the YouTube community, nobody had any idea who Matt Watson was. No one had any contact with him on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Discord. The guy was a total outsider. Simple online searches for the stranger revealed a few other past social media accounts with limited information. The most substantial discovery would be his former YouTube channel, a channel that housed some rather strange videos. But all things considered, Matt's old videos only raised more questions than they answered. Ultimately, they provided no further details about his identity, occupation, or greater purpose on the platform. When the time came, he stormed into YouTube as an army of one, but prepared to recruit many others to his cause. YouTube Wake Up. The brick in the window that started the riot. Ground zero of YouTube's worst meltdown yet. A video that left many of its viewers red in the face and ready to burn the site to the ground.
Destroy the internet!
But amidst the anger, chaos, and disgust, many lost sight of whether the video was actually accurate. At a glance, Matt's efforts seemed noble enough. Child predation is a universally scorned activity, and Matt was doing his civic duty by alerting the greater public of a rather egregious example. The issues of Matt's video and his subsequent live stream stem from his odd mischaracterizations of YouTube and the YouTube community as a whole. Several of the implications in the video range from deceptive to outright lies about the platform and its creators. To the average layman, the video may have seemed perfectly fine, but to seasoned YouTube veterans, these issues became a lot more apparent. First and foremost, the video is predicated entirely on the point that YouTube is facilitating a rabbit hole of content that connects bad actors with unsuspecting children and each other.
I have discovered a wormhole that I can find this wormhole. 2 clicks. I'm now in the wormhole. Once you enter into this wormhole, now there is no other content available.
The way Matt presents this, the audience is left to assume that YouTube is either grossly negligent, or worse, intentionally aiding child exploitation on the platform. And while YouTube are certainly no saints in this regard, specifically highlighting these videos and comments as a wormhole of scum and villainy is deceptive, because it overlooks the fundamental directive of the general video recommendation algorithm on YouTube.
Once you enter into this wormhole for whatever reason, YouTube's algorithm is glitching out to a point that nothing but these videos exist.
If you look up any category of video on YouTube, the algorithm will recommend you more videos like it. This applies to cartoons, basketball, mukbang, ASMR, wasp removal videos, anything you enjoy watching. It's the algorithm's job to indiscriminately serve you more videos that will keep you on the site. The key word being indiscriminate. The algorithm doesn't know morality. Its job is not to tell you if what you're watching is ethically wrong. Its only purpose is to deduce what you like watching and give you more of it. The problem with Matt's video is that he presents an incredibly myopic view of the algorithm by highlighting only its capacity for abuse by bad actors.
And you might say, dude, why are you watching bikini haul videos? Who cares? That's besides the point here. Who cares? That's besides the point here.
A deeper dive into YouTube will reveal a variety of dark, disturbing, and macabre wormholes. YouTube is not facilitating the abuse of baby monkeys, for example. These wormholes only exist because of the strange users who inhabit them. It is the people who abuse this framework that create the wormhole. YouTube only provides the framework, and expecting them to manually patrol the activities of billions of independent users is simply impossible. But therein lies the issue with Matt's video. Matt portrays the wormhole as if it's YouTube's direct responsibility. Matt implies it's YouTube's fault that predators are on the platform, and therefore that YouTube deserves to be punished.
I want nothing to do with this platform. I'm disgusted, I'm angry, so in a way I want YouTube to pay.
Is it really YouTube's fault that unsupervised children ignore YouTube's minimum age requirement to upload videos of themselves? Is it YouTube's fault that foolish parents post videos of their children to a public platform for the whole world to see?
She's so cute. I love children. Look at my kids.
Are we supposed to expect YouTube to moderate the comment sections of each and every video as if the individual uploaders are unable to do so themselves? YouTube has made its fair share of missteps in its handling of children on the platform, many of which I have personally criticized before. But in this video, Matt heavily implies that YouTube is totally indifferent towards child endangerment, and that they essentially allow predators to have a field day on the platform.
Like, how is YouTube not doing anything about any of this? They're flaunting the fact that YouTube is doing nothing about this. How is this not a violation of their terms of service, and how are they not doing more? And it's disgusting, and nobody's doing anything about it.
This is a blatantly false narrative, and can be disproven using events that happened the very week before Matt uploaded his video. The week of February 15th, multiple channels were terminated by YouTube without warning. They would later find out that they were unjust victims of a new YouTube initiative to remove videos with CP in the title. It just so happens that in this case, they forgot to whitelist videos about Club Penguin and Pokemon Go combat points. Was YouTube's decision clumsy and misguided? Yes, absolutely, but to claim that YouTube isn't trying to combat child endangerment on the platform is simply dishonest.
This would pop up, this would load, and you would see that there is, there was some sort of unusual behavior going on here, and there's some sort of glitch in the algorithm.
Not only does Matt mislead the audience about YouTube's efforts, he then goes on to misrepresent the entire YouTube community. Matt ends his expose with a montage of YouTubers complaining about demonetization, which is intended to paint YouTubers as self-centered and oblivious to the real problem on the platform. When confronted about his questionable claims on his subsequent live streams, Matt would get very defensive, and often retort with the claim that YouTubers are purposely ignoring child endangerment because they are motivated only by their own selfish greed.
That is literally your perspective. Your perspective is but my monetization. Frankly, they probably don't want to admit it, but they care more about money than they do about the fact that there's an easily exploitable ring of creepy child videos on YouTube. They care more about money. And I'm not, when I say they, I'm not talking about YouTube, I'm talking about these fucking YouTubers who are salty as fuck. Just admit it, you're salty.
This was an oddly ignorant and divisive stance, considering that many high-profile channels have dedicated videos to combating child endangerment on the platform. Channels like Nerd City, H3H3, PewDiePie, and Pyrocynical have all exposed predatory content. Pyrocynical actually led to an entire wing of abusive content getting shut down. Paradoxically, Matt seems ignorant of this fact, yet he includes many of these same channels in his video, while simultaneously shaming them for not caring about the issue. So does Matt watch these channels or not? Does he only pay attention to them specifically when they're complaining about getting demonetized? Matt's confrontational view of the YouTube community is so baffling that it becomes suspicious. What would Matt have to gain by throwing the entire YouTube community under the bus? I thought the issue here is child endangerment, which many YouTubers agree is a huge issue on the platform. Why would you not want them on your side? This doesn't make any sense, unless of course you believe that Matt Watson had a different motive in mind.
And I'm not one of these people that says, oh, get a real job. Being a YouTuber isn't a real job. I don't think that at all.
20 minutes later.
You know, well, my monetization, bro. Yeah, here you go. Get a part-time job. Uber looks good for you.
Matt Watson's demonstrable lies, deception, and dishonesty should confirm him as an unreliable narrator. His dubious behavior reeks of someone with a hidden agenda, an agenda which becomes more obvious with Matt's call to action in his expose.
I hope with the video evidence that I have that more people find out about adverts being played on videos like this, and that YouTube shits the bed 10 times worse than they did in 2017.
Matt's plan to protect children on YouTube is to incite a mass boycott of YouTube's advertisers.
Guys, please contact them. Trust me, these companies care. People care.
Don't worry, if this sounds ludicrous to you, you're correct. But it kinda makes sense if you're all riled up and bash your head against the wall a few times. Matt's rationale is to force YouTube to protect kids by hitting them where it hurts, in their wallets.
Because remember, the only time that YouTube is going to do something is when it starts to hit their pocket, when it starts to hit their wallet. And the only way to get them to respond is through their wallet. And the only way to hit Google and hit YouTube is where it hurts, in their wallet.
Never mind the point that YouTube is already making an effort to stop predators. Matt is suggesting that hundreds of thousands of YouTube creators across the entire site lose revenue because of a few unmoderated comment sections completely out of their control. Matt is suggesting that rather than flagging and reporting the abusive videos, we take money away from innocent creators so that YouTube will flag and report abusive videos. If you're not quite up to speed on how YouTube ads work, companies pay YouTube every time one of their ads gets placed on a video, and the revenue then gets split between the creator and the platform. YouTube and its creators exist in a symbiotic relationship. This is the primary reason why inciting ad boycotts makes no sense, because to stab at the heart of YouTube, you must first drive the blade through thousands of innocent channels. Even if YouTube took 100% of the revenue, Matt's plan would still be totally nonsensical. YouTube is one of the few massive websites that is not publicly traded on any stock exchange. As I mentioned in previous videos, no one knows whether YouTube is even profitable. It's clear at this point that Google does not keep YouTube running as a lucrative venture. They support YouTube because of its enormous market share in online video. What YouTube lacks in profit, it more than makes up for in influence. YouTube itself may not bring in the big bucks for Google, but what it does bring in is the customers who will. For this reason, YouTube will likely never have to worry about financial woes as long as Google stays in business, which is why advertiser boycotts hold no actual leverage. Every time this happens, the platform gets impacted far less than the creators, who don't have the financial padding of a trillion-dollar company. At some point, it seemed that Matt cared more about punishing YouTubers than punishing predators. He demonstrated this with his repeated insistence that any YouTuber who disagreed with inciting an ad boycott was greedy.
You know, well, my monetization, bro.
When YouTubers like Nerd City attempted to reason with Matt on these issues, he responded with total belligerence.
The community was on his side for the first few days. People were sharing the video, we were stopping by his chat and saying like, you know, how can we help? Thank you for what you did.
Nerd City is here. Okay, who's Nerd City? I gotta look all these people up.
People like myself and Leon Lush and Keemstar were reaching out to him and saying, hey man, we're on the same page here. What you found is a problem and YouTube needs to address it, but pump the brakes on the contacting advertisers. That is not gonna solve the problem. That's just gonna injure YouTube, like potentially fatally. Matt just kept dismissing anything that YouTubers were saying to him about like, don't contact advertisers, like don't do this yet. That's the nuclear option. His stubbornness started to become the problem. Like he pretended he was listening and he would act like, all right, man, I want to talk. Yeah.
I'd love to talk to Keemstar.
And he would put someone on live to talk on Discord. And then once they would say something he didn't like, he just, you know, put his hands over his ears and said, sorry, no, what I'm doing is right. And you're just greedy. And YouTube is going to have to suffer for this.
This means that YouTubers are going to suffer, unfortunately. The only way to get YouTube to do something about this is to hit them where it hurts. And that's in their wallet.
There was never a point when Matt elaborated on how his plan was more effective than just manually reporting the predators. The rhetoric in his streams was akin to that of a political rally, featuring lots of sloganeering, dogmatic statements, and emotional appeal.
I mean, this is disgusting. Disgusting comment. I'm disgusted. I'm disgusted. I'm angry. How does this exist? That's all I have to say. Disgusted. I've been more emotional in this video than I wanted to be. I wanted to be more collected and calm.
Matt used his stream almost exclusively as a way to galvanize his audience into contacting brands. At times, it felt like pressuring advertisers to pull their funding was the only thing Matt cared about.
Oh! Fuck yes, man! Yes! Dude, that's what I'm talking about. We did it. Thanks for bringing it to our attention, Jamie. Our team is aware and investigating this material. Yes, good.
Now, at this point, some of you may be starting to realize that Matt Watson wasn't quite the noble vigilante that he originally appeared to be. Unfortunately for YouTube, too many people were unable to see through the illusion. The public outrage sparked by Matt's video was astounding to say the least. By morning, it had skyrocketed to the top of our videos, becoming one of the most widely shared videos in the history of the site. Within a week of its upload, more than 70 news articles had reported on the controversy, with most directly linking Matt's video to readers. With all this considered, Matt Watson had single-handedly incited possibly the most circulated controversy in the history of YouTube. In terms of initial media coverage, only Logan Paul's most infamous controversy was comparable in scale. Matt's video was reported on so extensively that it raises the question of how exactly it spread so far. As I mentioned previously, many high-profile YouTubers have covered the issue of child endangerment before, yet they hardly received any mainstream coverage. If you want to compare apples to apples, in 2018 a French YouTuber with hundreds of thousands of followers uploaded a video covering the same topic as Matt, with coincidentally the exact same hashtag. Why didn't this video spawn 70 articles or hit the front page of Reddit? What made Matt's video different? Well, aside from the language barrier, it's highly likely that Matt Watson employed some rather sneaky tactics to nudge his video in the right direction. Matt published his video at 11:27 p.m. Eastern Time, which is very late in the evening by YouTube standards. Most YouTubers choose to upload in the afternoon or early evening so they can capitalize off peak internet traffic. Matt deliberately published his video after most people had gone to sleep, a poor strategy for YouTube views, but a necessary strategy for what he likely had planned. Approximately 40 minutes after Matt published his video on YouTube, he posted the link to Reddit. About 90 minutes after that, he begins live streaming on his YouTube channel where he links his viewers to the Reddit post so that they can upvote it.
Link in the chat will upvote them. Yeah, that's a good idea. Actually, you know what? I'm going to stay on the chat right now. Okay, guys, it's up. So, I'm going to post the link over here in the window. Post. That's my post. So, yeah, upvote that all you can.
This is a strict violation of the solicitation rule on our videos and should have led to the post's removal. However, at around 1 a.m. on a weekday, most of the mods were probably asleep, and the violation went completely unnoticed. Matt's initial karma injection was enough to push the video to the front page, and after that point, the Reddit hive mind did the rest. Almost by design, the video was inundated by a furious wave of outsiders who had little to no understanding of how YouTube works. And before the YouTube community could respond, the video was already too big to fail. The media coverage of Matt Watson's video was as dubious as any other aspect of the controversy. Dozens of publications jumped on a bandwagon to elevate Matt's video as if he made a groundbreaking discovery. This issue had been discussed by YouTube commentators for years. Why did everyone decide to get outraged by it now? Was the word wormhole just a trigger for people to suddenly pay attention? Last spring, I was able to discuss the issue of child predation with Anxiety War, who has become the modern-day Chris Hansen of YouTube. Through his years of experience in identifying and confronting predators, he identified that the most dangerous sites for children are instant messaging apps like Snapchat and the now defunct Kik, which allow predators to communicate directly with children.
Well, yeah, of the victims that contact me and, they tell me where they met the perpetrator, etc., I've never heard of YouTube. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm sure it happens quite a bit, but it's mostly just a service like Snapchat and Kik.
YouTube's direct message system was buried in the video manager for years, and in 2018, they removed the feature entirely. Content-wise, apps like Instagram and TikTok are far more dangerous for children than YouTube, with Instagram ranked as the leading app in giving kids depression among other psychiatric issues, and TikTok continually luring unaware kids to injure themselves in ridiculous challenges. Both of these apps also have an easily accessible instant messaging feature which allow predators to speak directly to minors. As far as child endangerment goes, YouTube should be far from the top of anyone's list of the most dangerous apps for kids, yet the media seems to treat YouTube far more harshly than any of these other sites. Apps like TikTok are often portrayed as fun and quirky. You never see any outrage mobs trying to incite an ad boycott of Snapchat or Instagram. YouTube certainly has its fair share of issues with its handling of children, but to scrutinize them while simultaneously ignoring far more dangerous sites is either dishonest or downright foolish. Is this all just another case of boomers being boomers? Maybe so, but something else about the media's coverage of Matt's video is far harder to explain. Out of all 73 articles written about the controversy, not one featured any interview with Matt. Every one of the articles either cites the video itself or a different article covering the controversy. Only 2 out of the 73 articles even mentioned reaching out to Matt for an interview. This contradicts Matt's own claims of supposedly contacting media outlets himself.
I've written a report, and I'm sending that report out to every news outlet that I possibly can.
I get that nowadays our standards for journalistic publications are at an all-time low, but this is just ridiculous. Usually when reporting on a story, it's common practice to base it off some sort of credible research from a verifiable expert in their domain, not some unknown dude who made an angry YouTube video. But even in the off chance that you do decide to platform a fringe weirdo with no credentials whatsoever, you should at least be able to interview the guy and have him elaborate on his more extraordinary claims. Of course, most of these publications probably did reach out to Matt, which presents an even stranger implication that Matt Watson outright refused to be interviewed.
I just want to create some awareness for this. I want to try and get this hashtag trending. I concealed my identity when I did it because I have emailed several news outlets, BuzzFeed and stuff like that. And so my concern with contacting the FBI or the police is that could someone like myself be implicated by simply sending the information to them or the recordings to them that have these sort of borderline thumbnails in them? Could I be implicated in something? So BuzzFeed, as an example, I can send something to them anonymously and they will protect my identity. BuzzFeed, as an example, they will protect my identity. So I feel like by sending it to them, I've started the process here. We're talking about this stuff. Somebody's talking about Fox News. I don't like Fox News.
Why would the leader of a major social movement turn down the free publicity from appearing in dozens of articles from major publications? For someone seemingly so passionate about the issue, someone who claims to be just a concerned citizen doing the right thing, what would he have to lose by answering a few questions for reporters?
All I'm doing here, dude, is I'm just trying to make some awareness about this whole thing. I'm just trying to create awareness for this. You guys are helping to create awareness for this. We're all creating awareness for this right now. We have one single solitary purpose for being here right now, and that is to bring awareness to this issue. Hashtag YouTubeWakeUp.
Anyone in Matt's position should have been fully cooperative with the media. Unless, of course, they had something to hide. Another aspect of the whole situation that most people missed was Matt's inconsistent outlook of corporate accountability. Throughout his whole campaign, he had a remarkable ability to flip-flop between a staunch opponent of corporate abuse to an outright bootlicker. Nestle was quick to pull their ads from YouTube amidst the controversy, despite undergoing numerous lawsuits for using child slavery to harvest their cocoa beans. Disney also pulled their ads over concerns of child exploitation, despite notoriously exploiting children for years in their Chinese toy factories. Matt Watson seemed oblivious to all of this as he actively aided both of these companies in his supposed mission to help children.
No matter who you are, no matter what your politics are, no matter what your skin color is, it's about protecting children. That is intrinsic to human nature, to protect children.
Hey pal, you just blowing from Stupid Town?
Eventually, pretty much all of these companies quietly returned to YouTube a few weeks after the controversy had blown over. Like most corporate stunts, it was all just smoke and mirrors. So much for boycotting child exploitation. It turns out that YouTube's proverbial wallet runs very deep, and $8,000 refunds aren't a steep price to pay when you make $15 billion in annual revenue. Ultimately, Matt's whole plan of forcing an ad boycott amounted to nothing more than inconveniencing innocent creators for a few weeks. The advertisers predictably returned, and everything went back to normal like how it always does after any YouTube controversy. Yet another example of why ad boycotts on YouTube make no sense whatsoever, and Matt's whimsical double standard of corporate abuse was yet another example of his suspicious behavior. So let's once again visit the strange topic of Matt's old videos. Although they were ignored by practically every major news outlet, the YouTube community quickly gathered them as ammunition to defend the platform from his deception. Some of you have probably seen this clip, where Matt allegedly harasses a girl on the sidewalk.
Are you interested in shooting an adult video?
Most YouTubers utilized this clip to reach the conclusion that Matt was an unscrupulous creep and a failed content creator. However, diving deeper into Matt's past content reveals that many YouTube commentators had missed the greater context of his origins. The few mentions of his channel in articles and forum posts reveal that Matt started on YouTube by making men's health videos. He was perhaps most known for his NoFap vlogs, which he uploaded to the Matt's What It Is channel, the same account that would eventually host the YouTubeWakeUp video and his subsequent streams. Matt's original account dates back to 2016. 1 year later, Matt would open up a new account called Totally Uncreative, to which he would upload what he described as comedy videos.
Be sure to check it out over on my comedy channel, Totally Uncreative.
This is the channel that spawned Matt's more questionable content, which was later circulated by the YouTube commentators, most of whom would assume that the content was genuine. Matt's eventual Reddit history would contradict this theory, and imply that his entire catalog of videos on both channels were attempts at ironic satire.
I'm just really confused about my life and whether
Hey, did you buy my no-fat bag yet? Okay? Do some push-ups or something.
Now, I found myself kind of browsing through a lot of your old videos. Really got me wondering, what happened? You haven't posted anything in close to 5-6 months, and I found a comment that you had pinned, I think on your most recent video, that kind of announced that you were done, man. That you were done with the whole YouTube thing. And
mysteriously, the old Matt's What It Is videos were archived and re-uploaded by an anonymous channel a week after the controversy had subsided. Although the nature or purpose of this channel is unknown, it is rather strange that it not only archived Matt's old videos prior to their sudden deletion, but chose to re-upload them only after they served little purpose to discredit him. Ultimately, Matt's old content serves as yet another wrinkle in the tapestry of confusing circumstances around him, and provides further reason to doubt his motives for starting the controversy. On February 19th, just 48 hours after arriving on the scene, Matt streamed on YouTube for the final time.
So that's it, man. I think we're set. Thank you all. That's all I have to say, man. Peace out.
After the stream went dark, Matt Watson disappeared from YouTube. The YouTubeWakeUp Twitter account, which was presumably operated by Matt, remained active until the beginning of March before also falling dormant. Matt's last known online activity can be found on his Reddit account. On February 22nd, 3 days after his final stream, Matt posted a long, rambling, mostly incoherent comment on the newly minted YouTubeWakeUp subreddit. In the post, he generalizes the mounting criticism as slanderous and continues to parrot the same rhetoric about YouTubers being greedy. He then goes on to sanctimoniously lecture us about the dangers of social media, presumably as a means of accounting for his future absence. As of July 1st, 2019, Matt Watson has vanished from the web. Any details about his personal life or current whereabouts remain a mystery to this day. Later in 2019, the COPPA controversy once again placed YouTube's child safety standards in serious doubt. Despite COPPA providing Matt with ample incentive to return, he has thus far decided to remain a poltergeist to the digital world, leaving the rest of us to wonder what in the world just happened. When we come back, we will discuss the alternative theories of what Matt was really trying to accomplish by making YouTube wake up.
People, wake up, okay? This K-pop stuff, it's evil. And I want it off of my radio station, and I want it off of my television!
YouTube Geographic is brought to you by Keeps Hair Loss Prevention, and by viewers like you. Thank you.
Hi, are you interested in shooting an adult video?
Why are you running? I mean, this is disgusting.
I can't believe it, man. Rejected again. And to think it's only because I'm bald.
Hi, I'm Dr. Spiral. And I'm here today to talk about Keeps, the easiest and most affordable innovation in baldness prevention technology.
Millions of men make the mistake of taking their hair for granted until it's too late. Once you go bald, your self-worth flies out the window faster than my medical license. Everyone knows that hair is the only true source of a man's power, which is why baldies burn through thousands on tacky wigs, smelly tonics, and painful implants. Keeps will help you battle baldness before it's too late. No other FDA-approved hair loss product is more affordable, and you can visit an online doctor right now to get your medication shipped directly to your door.
So try Keeps today for up to 90% effectiveness at reducing and stopping the symptoms of hair loss. Visit keeps.com/EmpLemon for 50% off your first order. That's keeps.com/EmpLemon.
Please buy the product, you guys. I can't take any more of these ad boycotts. The prevailing narrative regarding the YouTube Wake Up controversy is pretty much everything that was reported by the mainstream media. The general public assumed that Matt was simply acting as a good Samaritan and exposing the issue as part of his civic duty. Most people, especially the ones on Reddit, assumed that Matt was portraying these issues fairly and honestly. The Reddit traffic and heavy media coverage were thought to be organic, and a result of people passionately caring about the issue by demanding accountability from YouTube. For those outside the YouTube scene, Matt's mission to contact advertisers seemed like a reasonable enough method to inspire change, and the subsequent advertiser boycott came as a logical consequence of Matt's well-intentioned campaign. For almost everyone aware of the controversy, this was a satisfactory explanation for the sequence of events. However, as we discussed previously, delving deeper into the details of the situation reveals a lot of strange inconsistencies that place the mainstream theory into serious doubt. The following theories will attempt to account for the most dubious discrepancies, more specifically, analyzing Matt's behavior to deduce his true motivation for inciting the YouTube Wake Up controversy.
So today I was on the internet and I was looking at how to build a successful YouTube channel, and one of the two things they recommended was to be super high energy.
Given the sequence of events, the first theory many would consider is that Matt Watson wanted to get revenge on the platform for some unknown reason, based on his apparent hatred for YouTube specifically and his unwillingness to cooperate with YouTubers in any capacity.
It's weird to say, but I want to make it look bad for YouTube. I want to make it look very bad for YouTube.
The crux of this theory comes from the inconsistency of Matt's overall knowledge of the platform. He had no problem setting up a live stream, but claimed to have no idea how to edit monetization settings.
Then you can go back and watch my streams where people are telling me, yo, dude, this is monetized. And I'm saying, how do I turn this off? I literally didn't know how to turn it off.
He seemed very familiar with watching certain channels, but somehow neglected obvious examples of those same YouTubers supporting the cause he claimed to represent. Even though Matt's behavior reflected someone with years of experience on the platform, he would frequently play dumb to his audience, acting ignorant to very basic features on the site.
There was some sort of unusual behavior going on here, and there's some sort of glitch in the algorithm.
Of course, many commentators would eventually expose that Matt did, in fact, spend at least 2 years making content before the controversy, content which he deliberately tried to obfuscate from public view. Much of YouTube's commentary community seemed to reach the consensus that Matt Watson was a failed YouTuber who manufactured a controversy for views and attention.
But regardless, YouTube has taken action. They're taking the stuff down. Stop trying to milk this for attention.
After spending years trying and failing to grow his channel, Matt began to resent YouTube and its more successful creators, with that resentment eventually boiling over into a full-on vendetta. Eventually, he hatched a plan to sabotage the platform and its greedy creators. YouTubeWakeUp was a result of Matt actively seeking revenge on YouTube. While the rogue YouTuber theory may explain Matt's abrasive attitude towards other creators, it doesn't account for many other discrepancies. First of all, the commentator consensus that Matt manufactured the controversy for fame doesn't hold up when you factor in his subsequent disappearance from the internet as a whole. Matt clearly acted with grander motivations than simply furthering his own status. Additionally, this theory creates inconsistencies with Matt's level of competence throughout the whole process. Are we supposed to believe that Matt is capable of manipulating thousands of people to do his bidding, but he can't figure out how to make people watch his YouTube videos? If he knew how to exploit Reddit karma to boost his viewership, why not just use that tactic on his existing content? This theory paints Matt as a failed YouTuber who grew disillusioned with the platform, yet he gained almost 20,000 subscribers and more than 1 million total views in just 2 years of making videos, which is far more successful than most channels at that point. With that being said, his apparent motive for hating YouTube appears much more flimsy, suggesting that he had a different incentive than just getting revenge on the popular kids. And even if he did start the controversy because he hated the platform, why was his campaign so successful in particular? Every year, dozens of videos come out seeking to expose YouTube's dirty dealings to the general public. And so far, Matt's video stands alone as the only YouTube expose to garner significant mainstream attention. Was it all a coincidence or just dumb luck? Could be either, but it's far more likely that a few hidden entities had vested interest in Matt's video succeeding.
I am once again asking for your financial support.
In leftist communities online, there's been a fixation on how YouTube's algorithm has promoted right-wing content. Many argue that YouTube has inadvertently created a pipeline in which viewers are recommended political content that gradually radicalizes them. So you'll start with 1 or 2 videos of a red-haired college feminist and end up on videos about demographic replacement. This is the thesis of ideas like the PewDiePie Pipeline, as well as the motivation for them to produce their own content. While Matt's video predates the PewDiePie Pipeline, this asserted rabbit hole was covered extensively in a research paper by Rebecca Lewis for Data and Society. Published in September of 2018, the abstract summarizes their view of YouTube rather well. YouTube is a principal online news source for young people, which is why it's concerning that YouTube, a subsidiary of Google, has become the single most important hub by which an extensive network of far-right influencers profit from broadcasting propaganda to young viewers. This study received not just news coverage, but was also the foundation for this video by YouTuber 3 Arrows, which has since accumulated nearly 1 million views. How is this relevant to Matt Watson, you may ask? Well, nearly 1 month after Matt Watson swore to never return again, he made a reappearance on Reddit. YouTube's algorithm is the mirror of its average user. Start with PewDiePie and with Start with Joe Rogan and with Shapiro. Start with news and with the Less than 2 months later, Matt Watson posted again in the subreddit, this time in a thread calling for action. Its title reads, "Turn off your ad blocker. Go to subreddits. Take screenshots of ads next to content. Send the screenshots to companies and ask why they're promoting them." Matt Watson simply commented on this post, "Yup, I can attest that this strategy works." There are a number of reasons as to why this is significant. Firstly, one has to remember that at this point, Matt had already essentially been forgotten. No one seemed to recognize him when he commented, even though he referenced his grand accomplishment. So one should view this as his mask-off moment, how he behaves when he's no longer in the public's eye. But you also have to take this into consideration with the context of his content before the YouTubeWakeUp scandal. On his comedy channel, he made videos mocking the manosphere, where he would parody pickup artists. He clearly had a vested interest in opposing these fringe communities, and these comments reveal that he views ad boycotts as a proportionate response to them. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that he had an ulterior motive. Additionally, it provides an explanation for his disdain of other YouTubers. He comments on a thread mocking Boogie2988. YouTube and its content creators are one and the same. They only give a fuck about money. Enforcing policies? Nah. These content creators are such self-centered pieces of trash. There is a direct correlation between how garbage their content is and how frequently you'll find them wincing about SJW boogeymen coming for their AdSense. Remember, when he first released his video, he framed himself as an outsider. But as that facade began to slip away, he revealed that he was fairly knowledgeable about the commentary community. What this tells us about Matt is that going into the controversy, he was familiar with the YouTubers he was screwing over. And surprise, surprise, most of them are associated with the anti-SJW rabbit hole. Many have interpreted Matt as simply not understanding the collateral damage he was going to cause. But since he's acknowledged both their past and present influence, he can't claim ignorance. And this, by proxy, sheds doubt on his stated motivations. It's now entirely plausible that he could have been concern trolling, inciting a PR disaster under false pretenses to undercut the financial earnings of propagandists. And then, after it was all said and done, he could sit back and laugh as they've all been relegated to becoming Uber drivers.
Uber looks good for you.
Looking at his post from before the controversy revealed that it was Jordan Peterson that led him to broaden his focus from just the manosphere. Sometimes it feels like the manosphere anti-SJW types permeate every corner of YouTube. It seems like no matter what video I watch, the comments are infected with angry shitlords whining about feminism, liberals, and/or whatever minority group they can scapegoat for the world's woes. It's depressing. At this point, it's worth clarifying that if all this is true, Matt had an extremely flawed plan. By broadly attacking all content creators, he skewered not just right-wingers, but LGBT creators and leftists. Remember, YouTube is a platform where pretty much anyone can upload videos. This makes it an invaluable tool for financially unstable people to have a voice. As YouTube becomes less sustainable as a job, the people being affected the most are the ones who can't afford to do it anymore. If Matt's intention was to combat right-wing pundits, the best way to avoid this collateral damage would have been to fight them using the algorithm. Instead, he chose to do the more woke thing of pandering to millionaire ad agencies. But with all that said, the uncertainty of this theory and his general incompetence makes it impossible to confirm. Sure, he was celebrating his victory after the fact, but he always stopped short of saying he did it intentionally. And it's not like he wasn't aware of the leftists he was going to hurt. Prior to the controversy, he'd advised an aspiring left-wing creator to only do it for fun, because it didn't pay like it used to. And throughout all his messages, despite posting in a leftist community, he never seems to talk about class. So maybe it's possible that Matt wasn't motivated by feelings of class solidarity. Maybe he did have ulterior motives, but ones that were even more covert than his Reddit account let on. What if Matt Watson wasn't trying to be a proletariat hero, but instead the exact opposite, a corporate shill?
One of the strangest aspects about Matt that has thus far gone unexplained is the lack of any substantial information about his identity. Aside from those who deliberately remain anonymous, nearly all leaders of social movements have some sort of paper trail that reveal aspects about their personal lives. As far as we know, Matt Watson is a blank slate. How can this be the case for someone who spent days openly broadcasting his name and face for the whole world to see? Throughout all this exposure, you'd think that at least one YouTuber or one Redditor or one newsreader would know the guy in person and be able to divulge any sort of details about his identity. All this seems extraordinarily bizarre until you consider the possibility that Matt Watson, as we know him, doesn't actually exist. Each spring, media companies and advertisers hold annual meetings called upfronts. Upfronts were originally used by television networks to partition and sell commercial time for brands to market their products. Eventually, upfronts expanded to the digital space, and companies now use these meetings to determine their online marketing budget for the upcoming year. YouTube has typically hosted their upfront in the first week of May, but upfront negotiations across all networks span into the beginning of March. This time frame is significant to our theory because it indicates that brands must outline their tentative advertising budgets by the end of February, the time period that just so happens to align with YouTubeWakeUp. It also happens to align with another infamous YouTube controversy. In February 2017, Wall Street Journal reporter Jack Nikas would co-publish an article accusing PewDiePie of anti-Semitism. Much like Matt Watson's campaign, the Wall Street Journal seemingly manufactured a controversy out of thin air. Much like Matt's video, the article was manipulative and deceptive, and also featured a strange emphasis on advertisers, as well as YouTube's supposed responsibility to micromanage its creators. 1 month later, Jack Nikas would target advertisers head-on by using a singular screenshot to accuse YouTube of running ads on racist content. He would curiously omit a key detail that the video was monetized not by the uploader, but by a music copyright claim. Rather than blame the music companies, who frequently operate above the law on YouTube, Nikas would instead blame YouTube itself and instigate the first adpocalypse. In the following months, YouTube would implement sweeping changes to the revenue system on the site, most notably mass demonetization, introduction of the hidden channel rating system, and the subsequent suppression of edgy content. A tremendous impact, all from a single misleading article. If you're noticing a pattern here, it's probably that springtime on YouTube is starting to bring a vigorous bloom of dubious controversy and advertiser boycotts. Do you think it's possible that these two prickly plants may have sprouted from the same seed? It's possible that Matt Watson was no ordinary garden variety plant. He may very well have been an industry plant, a fulcrum through which brands attempted to leverage cheaper ad rates on YouTube. The entire ad boycott was just a smokescreen for companies to renegotiate their existing contracts with YouTube and return at a lower rate. At the time of the YouTubeWakeUp controversy, many companies had ample incentive to do so. Ever since the first adpocalypse, YouTube had been secretly subsidizing numerous brand safety agencies, third-party companies who worked with major corporate clients to ensure that their ads would not appear alongside questionable content. In hopes of enticing major brands back to the platform, YouTube essentially refunded the charges of these third-party services so brands could access them for free. At the end of 2018, YouTube disclosed that they would no longer be footing the bill, and that advertisers would now have to pay for brand safety services on their own. This announcement frustrated both the third-party services and their clients, who now both faced unexpected budgetary complications. You have to imagine that heading into the new year, some of them were looking to recoup their losses. On February 6th, Business Insider published an article revealing that YouTube was no longer subsidizing brand safety agencies. Just 11 days later, Matt Watson would initiate the YouTubeWakeUp controversy while heavily emphasizing that YouTube is unsafe for brands.
But I have multiple examples of big name brands. We're talking Dodge Ram, Disney in one video.
I can't imagine what these brands are going to say about their content appearing on these kinds of videos. Think about the consequences of this. You have a Disney advert. You have a McDonald's advert appearing on a video where a creep is timestamping a little girl. If news outlets start reporting this and brands like McDonald's find out that their advertising is appearing on these videos, YouTube will do something.
There's no denying that these companies have incredible reach and influence. OpenSlate was notably partnered with Group M, the largest advertising company in the world, and one that claims to be responsible for a third of all ads broadcasted. They certainly have the means to pull some strings in the mainstream media, especially in an age where news outlets have been revealed to be increasingly corrupt. These days, most news agendas are determined not by what's newsworthy, but by what's profitable for those running the show, and YouTubeWakeUp sought to make many companies a lot of money. This theory explains how Matt's campaign got so much coverage. The brands had always been planning to pull out, they just needed an angry activist to provide them with the opportunity. It's possible that the key to solving the mystery of Matt Watson may have been hiding in plain sight this whole time. This whole thing was never about protecting kids. Some brands even admitted it. Practically all of them eventually returned to YouTube, likely at a cheaper rate than before. As for Matt, well, as far as we know, his entire channel, story, and persona is a fabrication. The reason we can't find anything on his identity is that Matt Watson, as we know him, doesn't actually exist. Matt Watson was just the alias of a covert agent, hired to do a very specific job by an unknown entity. Once he accomplished his mission, he no longer had any reason to stick around.
In the description, I've included all the social media contact information for every brand that appears in my video, and I've included a timestamp for where exactly that brand appears in my video. In the description, I've included all the social media contact information for every brand.
Of course, like the other theories, the industry plant hypothesis doesn't account for everything. If Matt really was a hired agent, then how could you explain his older content? It seems rather ridiculous to suggest that he was planning this stunt for more than 2 years. If the advertisers needed an unsuspecting plant to orchestrate a controversy, then why select one with any sort of history attached to his account, especially one with history as bizarre as Matt's old content? Additionally, as with any conspiracy containing a ton of moving parts, this theory potentially involves a lot of people that would need to be kept quiet. And finally, if it was really that easy for companies to take advantage of YouTube, shouldn't we have seen a bunch of Matt Watsons popping up all over the place? At least for now, that remains to be seen. Unfortunately, we may never know Matt Watson's true intentions with the YouTube Wake Up campaign. At the end of the day, all of our theories are nothing more than educated guesses, and unless we get some serious testimony from any of the parties involved, all we can do is wonder. Speculation aside, it is fairly evident from the facts of the case that we should be skeptical of Matt Watson's self-proclaimed mission to protect children. The circumstances surrounding his behavior were too suspicious and contradictory for us to buy into the official narrative. It's obvious that Matt had some hidden agenda, but what exactly that agenda was may forever remain up for debate. One thing for certain is that the fulfillment of Matt's agenda came at the expense of both YouTube and its creators. The meteoric success of YouTube Wake Up may be indicative of changing tides in the digital landscape. The controversy likely represents one of the mounting consequences of YouTube's de facto monopoly on long-form user-generated content. As the site continues to scale beyond the limits of human control, the platform will keep finding itself in more precarious positions. These days, it's more than just creators who are growing increasingly frustrated by their lack of options. With billions in corporate transactions on the line, YouTube is under more pressure than ever to perform to a certain standard. In the future, YouTube may further transform into a battleground between clashing corporate titans, while the rest of us are just along for the ride. Ultimately, Matt Watson exposed YouTube's most confounding issue of all, not their lack of child safety, but their lack of communication. Perhaps the biggest factor that made YouTube Wake Up so successful was YouTube's complete failure to inform the public on hardly anything happening on the platform. YouTube is a site that likes to shroud itself in a cloud of mystery so that they can operate invisibly to the prying public eye. They thrive within an information vacuum, leaving the general public totally ignorant to even the site's most basic features. It was this ignorance which Matt Watson exploited to transform a simple expose into one of the biggest controversies the site had ever seen. His blatant dishonesty should have been immediately debunked, yet it was only detected by the most savvy creators on the platform. The vast majority of observers accepted Matt's emotionally charged rhetoric as the truth, and YouTube paid the price. Honesty is a two-way street. The more you hide from the public, the less likely they are to trust you. After burning so many of us for so long, it's hard for anybody to trust YouTube these days. YouTube Wake Up serves as the ultimate indictment to the site's severe transparency issue. It also serves as an indictment against the site's total lack of direction or leadership. It's safe to say that over the past half-decade, YouTube's internal decision-making can only be described as hapless. Whether it's their persistently baffling and unwanted policy changes, their totally inconsistent enforcement of the rules, or their preferential treatment for the vapid celebrities at the top of the site. Many of YouTube's issues are completely self-imposed, brought about mostly by their inability to think proactively about future obstacles. Lately, the direction of the site seems about as coherent as a headless chicken. Like how YouTube has spent the past 5 years dedicating an entire section of the site to kindergartners, only to scramble and panic when, shockingly, targeting them with ads was against the law. Much of YouTube's aimlessness could be attributed to their pitifully weak leadership. In the event of a crisis like the Matt Watson controversy, most YouTubers have nowhere to turn for news and guidance. Who is supposed to be YouTube's spokesperson in situations like these? The anonymous Team YouTube Twitter account? Susan with her biannual blog posts? How is it that a guy like Matt Watson, a single angry dude in his bedroom, is a more effective leader and communicator than anyone at YouTube? YouTube Wake Up once again proves that unless the platform makes some major changes in their management, they will continue to get eaten alive by companies who know they can get away with it. Until YouTube's administration can learn to effectively communicate its goals and solutions to the greater public, cowardly decision-making will continue to threaten the stability of the site. In the future, we may either look back on Matt Watson as an anomaly, or as the beginning of a far more sinister trend. I'm sure that every creator would hope that controversies like YouTube Wake Up remain in the past. Matt Watson sparked a wave of rage and disgust by supposedly uncovering a wormhole. Nobody realized that the real wormhole would be the mystery behind Matt himself. Whoever he was and whatever he was doing here, Matt Watson will go down as YouTube's most infamous red herring.